allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
I forgot my last. I'll make it. Jack Ketting.
I'm here.
Mike Ballard.
Here.
Lawrence Myers.
Here.
Nicole French.
Here.
Dee Patel. Susan Johnson. Here. You have a quorum.
Okay. Megan emailed the agenda. Take a look at that. I would entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion. Second. Second by Mike. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. We have 2 minutes to approve. Is that correct? Yes.
Did we just not have July's minutes when we met in August?
August was a really brief meeting just to approve the CTM rec card program.
Okay.
And
Megan wasn't here, yeah.
Okay, so we have the minutes from the Tuesday, July 21st meeting.
Yeah, motion to approve those from July.
Okay,
Second.
second. Any other discussion? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then the August 5th meeting.
I wasn't here, so I don't know. Do that one.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
As long as you don't care that your name's misspelled.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Financial report. Is that you, Toby?
It can be, if you want. The only,
Do you have anything that particularly stands out, or?
the only spending we've had last couple months was for the rack card program, in the amount of $2,180. I think the lodging receipts are kind of stabilized a little bit from that, the spring, obviously, where things dropped off dramatically with the COVID. So we're down a little bit for the year in terms of the receipts on the fiscal year.
Right, okay.
And we kind of plan that in the budget for 2021 for that to be off a little bit.
All right. Do we have any questions on the financial report? Okay, hearing none, I will ask for a motion for approval of the financial report.
Make a motion to approve the
Okay.
report.
Second.
In a second, Lawrence. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Financial report is approved. Okay, so we're going to review the past and current spending.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who's new to the board, or just to kind of refresh things. And so something I was working on also in my first couple months was to try to get a handle on things what the board has been spending money on the last couple of years. So that's listed on the meeting notes that I've given to you guys. It has pretty much almost a 2-year period from October to June of this year, from October 2018 to June this year. And then the only thing we've done since that time was the rack card program. So it kind of shows the breakdown. There was some billboard stuff that we did not renew. Some print advertising in there that probably wouldn't be repeated. one of the print products went out of business briefly, Webster Kirkwood Times. And then, again, just to kind of show what we've done in the past with a little bit of digital. We did not renew on the Madden Media search engine when that was up this summer. This is a $3,900 commitment, and the results increased our web traffic a little bit, 10% over what it had been the year prior. We also do have another search engine marketing program out there, and we probably have some other means to also try to improve that traffic using our social media. So there essentially is an open slate in terms of what the commission would want to look to do with the funds this year. I know we budgeted about $17,500, considering that we probably would see lower tax receipts based on the COVID situation with lodging. So we scaled the budget back, but that's kind of the number we're looking at for this year.
Are we running ads currently on the radio?
We are. So through the, and that's one reason I also haven't really come to you guys with much in terms of things at the moment, because we have the state grant program that we're involved in that began in the middle of July and runs through November 20th. And we applied for up to about $60,000 in marketing funds to use, and it has to be used during that time period. So that's about a good year plus of advertising for us in a usual year. So we were able to use a big Facebook campaign that's out there now, radio advertisement in St. Louis, KTJJ. We're using Donzi now for some of the upcoming events. We're using Entercom with Jones KMOX and KZK. They also have stations in Memphis that we're using there also. We have a Robinson billboard program that's part of it, again, for a couple months in 5 locations south of here: Cape Girardeau, Sykeston, Perryville, and Chester. We have some print campaign with it. We had an ad in rural Missouri this month. We have one in St. Louis Magazine and also St. Louis Parents Magazine that both came out in the mail this week. It covers a wide variety of things. It's kind of, and it has to be pre-approved by the state, so they know what our messaging is, and has to include some coronavirus safety precautions, like that we have hand sanitizer at the Welcome Center, and we have masks available and those kind of things. So we have to include that wording. They approve it, then we can place it in those outlets. So, yeah, we're pretty much through that big push. Like I said, there's a lot of Facebook out there now. I have a report for the Alderman this week. Our Facebook posts, the reach on our Visit St. Gen page is usually a couple thousand, and like last month it's 200,000 people are seeing the posts because of the marketing campaign. So yeah, that's like I said, about a $60,000 program, and the city budget usually is in the 30s for annually. So. And again, it's a challenge that has to be spent through November 20th. Actually, all the paperwork has to be done, and then they'll reimburse all those funds back to us. So it's 100%. Everything we do that's pre-approved and paid, they will pay us back on.
I don't know if it's advertising or people wanting to get out of the city for COVID or what, but it sure seems like there's a lot of people in town.
A lot more foot traffic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saturdays have been very busy.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to work on Sundays. So you open on Sunday?
No.
That's part of the problem.
Anyway, yeah, good.
So I guess, like I said, so with the money that the tax commission has, we could, if you guys have a leaning, or if you have input from people that say we want to do things like radio or billboard or print or digital, then that's something we could explore in the next year or so. I do actually put on old business about this, the sign near Progress Parkway and Highway 32, because I know it's something we discussed at the last meeting, and I don't know if Happy wanted to give a brief update of where we stand on that.
Gary's working on the sign. We've got the interstate signs ready to go, but we haven't made the arrows are pointing one way to, we have the I-55 one, but we need to make up the sign that says Historic St. Genevieve Business District. So we point people the other way. Where we want to put it is past the first entrance at the community center, but before you get to the second entrance, because you want to catch those folks that are coming out of the water park and the larger Progress Sports Complex. So we just, when we get time, we'll put the sign together, get it up. Not as urgent now as it was when the water park was open. So we figured we had a little time to do it.
Yeah.
So we need to do that, and then we have to call in locates, and then we can put them in there.
This would be a strictly an informational type sign on the city right away, correct?
And it looks like a regular street sign. It's going to be a brown sign with a border.
Not neon colors with flashing
pointing for
lights.
St. Genevieve, because we want to promote both the commercial district and the historical district, because we think both of those are important for all of our tourism, or go to 55. And that kind of then balances it, saying, yeah, we are being informational. If somebody doesn't know which way to go, there it is.
Sounds good.
And we could still look at, email with Brad briefly that they're still considering their options for next year in terms of in the park signage, either using their digital concession signs. They're also talking about putting maybe a wall of flyers out there where restaurants and businesses could post things at, and even signage inside the park. So those are all things that he and his staff and his board are considering also.
Good.
So that's the old business.
Okay. Any other items under old business? Okay, we'll move on to new business. So we got some radio opportunities for coming up, right?
Yes, last year, as part of the advertising campaign for the Christmas festival, we had a $1,900 program through St. Louis Public Radio that was divided with $900 from tax commission funds and then $1,000 from the city to pay for that. In addition, there were a couple other programs the city put together for the Holiday Christmas Festival, including some ads on the KZK, and then also some print ads, some ads on Donzi radio stations, some ads on KTJJ that mixed both the Christmas Festival and the just holiday shopping. So NPR, they sent an email a while back that kind of summarizes the campaign that they would do again, which is 33 ads for that same amount, running from the middle of November up to the Friday before the festival. And they sent kind of what the script would be, which we would probably do a little tinkering with. Entercom, I copied down the scripts that they sent me from last year. That's included in the meeting notes here also. Their program, like I said, includes some of the Christmas festival and then extends beyond it and into December. So these are all things we did last year, either for the tax commission or from the city budget. And obviously things that are probably worth considering again this year. One thing I've talked with Happy about is the concept of event sponsorship. I think, because Annette comes to us and says, what do you want to do in terms of help supporting this event? And putting, I know on the back of their program, they kind of recognize the different sponsors on there. I don't think the tax commission in the past has been one that's been recognized. That might be something in the future, if you're putting a lot of money into this, you get the logo and it says Tourism Tax Commission on there to kind of let people know more about this board and what they do. And Happy has some experience, I think, with some other cities in terms of what their tax commissions have done in terms of tourism and events.
So at Festus, what we did was we did sponsorships, and the board only met once a year when I was there. I think they meet maybe twice or 3 times a year at the most now. What they would do is have people come and give presentations saying, here, we want to do this program, we want to do this event, we'd like to get some sponsorship. And they would then allocate whatever amount they felt they should allocate. So you would come in with a certain amount saying, I want this much, and the commission could then decide how much they really wanted to sponsor. But then they became the event sponsor, not just giving money and advertising and putting things out there. And I think that's something that this board could consider, because then you wouldn't have to meet as much. Groups have to come before you and say, here's what we plan on doing, here's the event, here's all the details, we are looking for some assistance, we're looking for some sponsorship money, and they can come before this board, give the details, and you say yes or no. I mean, you have the option, if you don't feel that what they're spending it on is the right kind of event that you want to be a part of, or instead of, just kind of scattershotting what we're doing right now, we're kind of, we've kind of focused and put the name out there. I think it's important that people know that their tax money is at work. They voted to have this tax for the hotels and for the Airbnbs. So let people see that it's working. So that's one of the things that Toby and I have talked about and I kind of envisioned, but it takes a little transition to get into that because you've been doing cards and billboards and radio ads and that, but I'd like to see it kind of turn to a different aspect, but that's up to you guys. I'm not going to come in and force my views on something like that, or try to maneuver. I would like for you all to buy into something like that, and then it's also going to take the community to come in and do those presentations. It will be a longer meeting. It may run about an hour and 15 minutes, but you also then get an idea what those projects are, and it gives those people some time to think about what those projects are and ask for money.
I think it's a good idea, and it's something well worth considering.
Right.
I'll throw this out there. I like it, but is that something for this group, or is that something that should be presented to, or the face of tourism be that, Toby and the advisory committee versus the Tourism Task Commission? Because my question is I really like the idea of somebody coming and saying, let's get everybody together and have some good ideas. But as far as the approval goes, I think it's our job to make sure that the money's being spent legally, according to the ordinance, according to state regulations, but not necessarily the one saying that's a good idea or that's a good idea. That's my 2 cents. We are approval authority for the expenditures of the money, but if we did that, then what's the difference of the advisory committee and tax commission? So I just want to make sure that we're not pulling from one to take care of the other. Legally, yes, we have to make sure that the money is being properly expended. But as far as ideas and where to spend it, I kind of think Toby and the advisory committee would be let them.
We could probably still operate that way.
I don't know.
Wouldn't it be? Go ahead.
What I'm trying to do is we're still, the advisory committee is almost more like a branding type of and a recommendation type of group, whereas this board actually authorizes funds to be spent, funds to be allocated. Tourism advisory is there to say, well, Toby, here's what I think we should do, and then we can kind of match our tourism to whatever they've recommended or whatever events are coming up. So with tourism advisory, it's a general fund account, so we have more freedom to spend. Whereas the tourism commission has to spend it on tourism. It has to be something tourism oriented. So you look at, if somebody brings something to you, it has to have a tourism element to it. And we would probably reject that out front if somebody said, well, I want you to help me with this event. It's like, well, where's the tourism part of it?
Yeah.
And I think then it becomes, we get our name out there when we're doing just our basic advertising. St. Genevieve's out there. It's out there right now, especially with the COVID money that we're spending. But again, looking just to get some recognition for this group, and maybe narrowing your focus down a little bit to make it where you're. I kind of just feel that there's a little bit here, a little bit there. The board approves an amount of money that you can spend, and then you can spend up to that amount. You can pick and choose what you want to spend it on. If you feel it's more in your best interest to do the cards and to do brochures and to continually meet and come up with those ideas and work through that, that's fine too. So again, it's just what I'm used to and kind of how I formed it, and just seemed to work well in that respect.
But if we're going to approve things that people bring before us, that assumes we're going to disapprove of something.
Potentially, yeah.
And then we could get a negative rap from that. So it wouldn't necessarily be an all positive thing.
No, I just think it puts more, I think it puts that money where it should be, which is, a tourism events. Trying to assist people, maybe there's, an event that they want to put on, they can't raise enough money for it, but they've got a tourism aspect to it, and this group could then contribute to that.
Is that legal by the rules of how this was set up? I don't know.
Well, it seems, now, does Festus give directly to an event organizer to do?
We pay after whatever event they do, whatever they spend it on, whatever they want to attribute to whatever the tourism tax commission has approved, then we do reimbursement.
Okay, so then they'd have to spend it marketing their event
Right.
to bring tourists in.
Right.
I mean, the Muni Band grant program is the same. People
Right.
come with a proposal and ask for X number of dollars, and they may only get a portion of that, but at least then,
But that's going before the Board of Aldermen. This is before us, right?
no,
That goes to-
there's,
Do we pay for
the Muni Band grant program does not, I mean, we approve a general amount for that budget, but those individual proposals do not come before the Board of Aldermen. That's a separate decision by the committee.
Right. Yeah, the committee meets quarterly, and you have to turn in an application at a time if you want a free music event, and then they'll have to pay for the musicians.
And I've worked on with some organizations that apply for it, say a musician costs $1,000, they apply for 1,000, but maybe they'll get 500. But it's still then partially sponsored by the grant program.
Even the city does that. We put in for different artists to come in and get some grants.
My feeling in bringing this up is that in the case of Christmas Festival, the commission is providing support of $900, and the city's providing support of an additional $2,000, give or take, depending how much that KMOX program is pre-event and after-event. And so that kind of opens the door. Well, does Jour de Fête come in and say, we would mind having some marketing funds? Does French Festival, Real Heritage, all have that kind of same opportunity?
I think I want to go back and maybe take a step back and look at the order. I mean, maybe I'm viewing it wrong, but you said the city's providing this and the commission's providing that. I don't see it that way. I see that the tax revenue that's brought in on this 2 cents, right? Per lodging facility, that's part of the city's money. Our job, because it's a state-sponsored program and it had to be approved at the state level, our job is to make sure it's being spent legally, not necessarily on what we think it should be spent on. That's your job, and that's why I said the committee, or whoever, you or the mayor wants to appoint. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm saying that I want to make sure that everybody understands the lines, because if I was on the committee, then I would say, well, then what's my job? Why do we have a committee? Why do we have a commission? What's your, so you're full-time. I understand that you're full-time. You're hired by the, and I just don't want to necessarily start blurring those lines between what's approving the dollars to be spent legally and where do we want to spend it. I know our conversations a lot of time get into that, well, we think this is a good idea, that billboard's not so good, or this and that. And I think we can and should maybe have those inputs once in a while, but at the same time, either we're, I don't necessarily want to, I don't want folks to necessarily think that it's the commission's money and the city's money, because I think it's the city's money. A portion of that is being appropriated, and we have to make sure that it's being spent legally. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but so if you and your recommendation to the city, Toby, is, hey, here's our pot of money, and we want to take this much of it and give it to this organization or that organization, it's our job, I think, to say, you know, I got some feedback. If I was a hotel owner, you know, and whoever, and they came to me and knew that I was on the commission and said, Mike, you know, it's almost like they're going to see their council member and saying, I really think that we need more money spent on billboards. I really think we need more money spent on Facebook or magazine advertising. Then we as a board take that into consideration, and maybe, you know, we can provide that feedback. But I think it's our job to make sure that those dollars that are specifically collected from the tourism tax is being spent appropriately. So maybe we form one, you know, maybe our meetings should be, you know, we've done it a couple times, maybe we should meet every time with the advisory committee or whatever the case may be, so we can have more of that face-to-face. But I think that the advisory committee was formed by different people and different, you know, whether they're business owners or whether they're, you know, they got on the advisory committee for a reason, to provide that direct feedback to you as the director of tourism. So I just want to be careful, I guess is all I'm saying. I'm not against it, I just want to be careful of what a role is.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
But I'm all for, you know, having a separate, if we need to have a working group on it, or if we need to, you know, take a step back and get some good direction, and I'm all for that, you know, I'm happy, so.
Let's see if I can find the state statute is.
Yeah, it's a little vague. I mean, I read through it when I came on the board, and when I came on the commission, I read through it again, and it was really written at the time. It was written at the time when a committee didn't exist. Matter of fact, it was written whenever. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was written whenever we didn't have a director of tourism. You know, I hired a director of tourism whenever I was city administrator in '09. So the city was looking for some sort of committee to give direct feedback on their opinion of advertising and where the dollars should be spent to the administrator and to the council. Okay? And if you read through the ordinances, it kind of reads that way. Yes, they have legal oversight because it's mandated from the state, but at the same time, they were also providing, hey, let's spend our money on this billboard or that billboard. Then time goes by, and we hire we had I think, I'm trying to think of which came first, but the advisory committee, the tourism committee came along. We hired a director of tourism. At that point, I feel like the commission kind of took a step back in the active role of saying, let's spend our money here, specifically here, or specifically there, and it was more of an oversight committee, are the dollars being appropriately spent? So we kind of, it evolved. It started out as an advisory commission, you might say, with oversight, with legal oversight, and it kind of led into, well, now we have a separate advisory committee, we have a director of tourism, and our job would be more to approve and make sure that that 2% or that 2 cents is being spent appropriately, that's collected from the betting facilities.
For some period of time, it was used pretty much as a co-op grant match.
It was that too, yeah. You know, there's a lot of, it was just used for that. So, might be time to dust off some of the what we're really trying to achieve here, and work collectively with the city, maybe even the council. I don't mean to be opening up a can of worms, but I see where you're going with this. I'm just hesitant to have groups and citizens come and say, I got a great idea, and they come to this commission, and looking for approval to spend the commission dollars. I want to be careful there. Or the city dollars is my understanding, and we need to get into it. I could be wrong, but they're the city dollars.
Point.
So
I think you raised a good point.
let's just be careful. I like the idea. I like what you're saying, but we want to make sure that it's there's some history there.
Yeah.
Any thoughts with regard to the holiday Christmas? package that we did last year and what we'd want to do this year then.
Well, that's always been, I mean, it's gotten bigger and bigger. I feel like it's been a great event for the town, for store owners, for our lodging facilities obviously benefit from it. So I, just in a general comment by me would be anything spent on to help promote that, what I think is a wonderful event.
Do they ever turn in a financial report that says how much they spend on the event?
On the event total,
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah, it's a good-
see,
that's
it's
a
one of
good
those things where
point.
the advertising is done through, this advertising is done through the tourism department.
Sure.
And I've talked to her in the past, I'm not sure how she handles her communication with past tourism advisory, tourism directors in terms of, I want to have X number of dollars go to this place or that market. I know we talked a little bit about, does she want to have ads in Illinois or not? She's not certain because of the number of COVID cases over there. There are probably some things on here I would look to revise this year with some of this advertising. So I haven't visited with her exactly on her plans for advertising
Okay.
this time around. I know she's going to scale back the printing costs because she doesn't expect as many people to come, so the program printing will be reduced some.
Okay.
Is she gonna possibly have that available online, like we could put it on the Visit St. John website so people can
The
pull it up
flyer?
on their phones?
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
If she's not gonna print as many, that might be a good option for people.
So Tony, does this have what she raised in the spending on it versus what
Nope.
she's requesting?
And she hasn't made a request, this is going through, I mean, I talked to her a little bit, she came in and asked about $300, and then I went through, looked at last year's numbers
Mhm.
to see where we're at. I think when she says $300, she's thinking the city puts $300 for some of these ads, but I don't know if I'm not sure how familiar she was with all the spending part of it.
Mhm.
I think they do $300 for every event. I think it's kind of a standard city thing.
Well, I think
as
they
a
might be
policy.
surprised when folks say that, just based on the numbers I'm seeing this summer, and we say we don't expect to maybe see as many outside visitors or whatever the case may be show up for this, I think they might be wrong.
Right.
I think it might be one of the bigger turnouts. We don't know, but I wouldn't discount it because our summer so far with the foot traffic that you mentioned has just been great. And I think people are looking for these types of things, so I'm all for
Anything out of the city.
out of the city. I'm all for getting word out and spending some dollars on this. I think it's very appropriate,
We were talking today that there's been a lot of small events, but it's the groups that are putting them together. It's not the city, it's not, the
Mhm.
usual suspects.
Mhm.
It's been really nice to see the collaboration between different groups and organizations to put these events on. And that's what brought people in.
That's right.
And I think that those kinds of events, now that things have changed so much, that this commission should, and maybe it's with input from the Tourism Advisory Council, but should consider putting some money towards those events as well.
There's a lot of people that have been putting a lot of effort and ideas and throwing around, and of course, you're gonna have some that are, why did they get some advertising and this group didn't, or whatever. You're always gonna have that. But I think these folks that are making an effort, and if they came before an organized, before an organization, or whether it's they present something to Toby or to the advisory committee, I agree with you. Why not help them out with an event by using some funds for advertising?
And I think it's also, as Toby said earlier, important that this commission is considered a sponsor and gets the name out there. I'm kind of surprised we haven't done that in the past. I guess I didn't even think about it before. But I think that, the list, you've all seen the back of that program, so many names, the Tourism Tax Commission should be on there.
Mhm. Any other thoughts?
We probably do we need a vote on allocating?
Yeah, because you've got a certain amount of money you want to spend. for
Well,
this.
last year's amount was the 900, and I don't know if you want to take on a bigger role on that, and that was.
That was just for the NPR thing?
That was half of the NPR campaign, yeah. Or if you have any feelings about that particular campaign, I think with an event like this, and Happy and I have talked about a little bit, I mean, there's a lot of music that is, she mixes some classical with some violinists, a quartet. She's got a classical guitarist from SIU comes in and also brings his trio the day before. So, and she has a mix of music that I think would appeal to.
Yeah,
I think it's the appropriate forum, yeah.
Literally never heard any other noise in this store.
I know, I know.
I'm like, oh, it's a good event, good. Never seen it.
That's what you need an employee for, so you can go to all the events.
See the parade. That's it.
You and I'll work the counter if you want. I can take care of that chocolate for you.
So is that where we're at, Toby? You're looking at.
Just seeing if you want to do it last year or if you want to increase that and any of those. Like I said, the tax commission put in $900 towards the public radio program that ended up being 1980 with the city putting in a little more than half. There was a program through Entercom that started with some Christmas ads and then I think went into some basic holiday shopping ads. Those are both listed on that second page.
I think it is good to keep the ads going beyond the holiday Christmas festival.
I
'cause-
agree. It doesn't stop at that.
Right.
Yeah.
All of our stores are open basically through the end of the year, so.
So are you thinking of an increase in the amount in the commission? I think that's what you kind of,
Yeah, for whatever reason, it was
Asking or
split
whatever.
the way it was, and I don't know if that's something that, again, it's all city dollars, or if the split matters that much one way or the other, or.
Do we have many other things that we're looking to spend money on?
I don't know, it's pretty much an open slate this year. I've got some billboard pricing. I don't know that billboards is something anyone's particularly passionate about at this time.
Right.
I did get some information on those. The prices are kind of steep still, I think.
Right.
For what we try to accomplish. There's some other radio programs throughout the year, next year, and I think, digital is a big thing. I think
Right.
it's.
That may be worthwhile to
look at
spend
some
more
digital,
money on
yeah.
targeted digital ads.
Yeah. And even with this, we could look at doing some things in November, December, both for the festival and for shopping. In addition, I think Entercom does do a lot of that mix where they'll kind of give you some audio ads and some Facebook push through their websites too. Or just deal straight with Facebook.
Toby, can you remind me the campaigns you're doing with the CARES Act money, how long do those go?
November 20th has to be, all the paperwork has to be completed.
I'm
so.
sorry, how long do the ads run in the targeted marketing?
We've got some radio going through about November 15th or so.
Okay.
We're not quite pushing at this event yet.
Okay.
We got some in that are going to push the Pecanapalooza event.
Okay.
And
But November is
Yeah.
pretty much it. So
Yeah.
none of the CARES Act money will be promoting Christmas festival or anything in winter
Correct.
time shopping? Okay.
Yeah. Some of the decision-making wasn't certain whether the event would be taking place.
Right, I
And
understand.
it had we go through the process of we had to figure out what we want to spend way back in August.
Right.
Then the approval for each ad, and then it all has to be, the checks have to be cashed and come back to us as endorsed by November 20th, and then it has to be the state by that date.
Okay.
So that they can say, all right, here's the reimbursement.
Great.
So basically by the middle of November, we
Which is
don't
when
have
some of
any.
these could pick up for sure.
No.
So you're asking for what from us, 900?
How much would you like to spend? if, like I said, 900 was last year's amount, I don't know if you want to do something beyond that this year, or,
Well, a summary of, and again, I think all the data's in front of us, not necessarily here, but on other reports as well, but is there a way to get a breakdown of, kind of last year, the previous year to, this was billboards, this was radio, this was
with regard to, from,
kind of breaking the budget, the total budget down.
Just through the holiday season.
Well, I don't know, or maybe we should just do a full annual summary of, I hear Toby and others kind of saying, kind of leaning back away from the billboards, for instance. And if we took a look at what we spent on billboards the last 4 or 5 years, it's so easy to get in kind of to the trap of saying, yeah, we'll do the same amount. Yeah, we'll do the same amount.
Right.
But maybe we want to, maybe if we took, I don't know, a couple $1,000s from billboards and we targeted something else. So I'm just saying broad brush.
Right.
What do we think, based on projections of the end, what do we think should be billboards? What do we think should be
for this.
radio?
The first page on here is the last 2 years, roughly.
Right.
And that was, billboards were $5,200 for that, which essentially is the one billboard probably in Bloomsdale would be that amount. Good, based on the pricing I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
And we had about $11,000 going to digital. Some of it was that search engine marketing that's not,
That we
wasn't
didn't
renewed
renew.
this year. So those
$3,900.
dollars are freed up. We did a geo ad through TripAdvisor in the past. I'm not very familiar with that program myself in terms of how that ran or what the results of it were. We got the RAC card program in place, and then there's a couple of those print programs. With the rural Missouri, that's probably 2 ads in rural Missouri, I'm gonna guess, maybe 3. Probably 2, because we just got a bill from them for 1 ad for $1,700. Missouri Life, that's probably 1 ad for them.
So Mike, are you still wanting those input from the advisory council before you guys start making some big decisions about? Because it kind of feels to me like there's a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah.
And I personally would like to see a little more of a connection made, because I think some of them are kind of expecting to have a role in
Yeah.
advising how
Right.
this money and the other tourism money is spent.
This is how it was spent.
Right,
How do people think it should be spent?
right.
You know what I mean, going forward, what are we looking for the next year? What are we looking for the next 2 years? Heck, let's do a projection of, where does National Park gonna spend their money? Their advertising dollars, I don't know.
They don't have
advertise.
advertising dollars.
They don't, well,
They have
okay.
foundations.
that's-
Right,
Yeah,
right.
they don't.
Yeah, they don't advertise, okay, good point.
But Megan, when does the advisory council meet next? Do you know?
Probably have one next month, I would guess.
They only wanted to have them every 4 months, so it's gonna be up to them.
See,
I
the-
mean, we might not get enough people here, is what we've
Yeah.
been experiencing.
Well, and
Or every
that's another issue too.
It is,
It's hard to
and
get,
that's
it's
what I'm
hard to
s-
get advice from an advisory council that's not meeting consistently
Right.
and
Right.
with a quorum.
Right.
But I do think that especially, I mean, I really like the approach that Happy spoke about, changing things up. It does feel like, I mean, in the year and a half I've been here, that it's rack cards, billboards, advertising, and I think
Right.
that things are changing and that we ought to look at other ways to support tourism.
I think so
And if
too.
that
I
means
think-
small events, because people are now organized and getting those events together, then I think that that's something that we really ought to look into. And if that's in concert with the advisory council, great. If we read the statute and figure out something else, then, but I say let's look into it before we, decide how we're gonna spend the money for the entire year. Sorry, I say we, I know I don't get a vote, but that's
Yeah,
just
no,
my 2 cents.
I agree, this is where we spent it, but where
Yeah,
do others
Yeah.
think it should be spent?
But we all like the radio idea.
I think we do.
Yeah.
And, you were talking about the number of Facebook, and I know a lot of that that's just kind of comes with it, and I know a lot of that's, free, but depending on but, yeah, what else is out there? You know what I mean? And billboards, maybe in the past it's been a static billboard, how are the Robinson billboards working? Do we want to really hit those during specific, the 4 weeks, the month leading up to specific events? And target just those specific events, for instance?
You said you're utilizing those right now?
Yeah, as part of the CARES Act campaign.
Right.
So it's COVID messaging about just come visit and recognize that we've got precautions in place with
Don't
masks.
lick
and
anything, but
use your hand
yeah.
sanitizer and that kind of thing. So it's a rather generic ad.
Did you say don't lick anything?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't lick the historic houses.
But with all it is a little difficult to track because there's so much going on right now.
Right.
You can't, different media campaigns, it's hard to track what's actually, I know with some of the online stuff, we have tracking on that, but it's hard to know if somebody saw a billboard and only saw a
Right.
billboard and came because they saw the billboard.
And I can check with Robinson. Yeah, you would not know that exactly.
Yeah.
I know Drury Advertising offers that kind of, they can check
Exposures.
who drove by a certain
Yeah.
place, how many of those people exited and went to your location. They can track those kind of things on cell phones and things. So.
Oh, yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, I don't think
I don't want to be a part of that.
And they also, Drury also does, I didn't get information on the program, but they have, they call it, people who drive with their heads down. So instead of the billboard,
Yeah.
they'll mark it to their phone when they're
Right.
driving through certain areas too.
Right.
Well, and that's geo ads. Is that what?
The TripAdvisor was? Yeah, so I'm not 100% familiar with what that was, so I can look into that.
Yeah, I know my previous employer, I don't know much about it, but if somebody looked up or Googled a certain topic, whether it was tourism, whether they misspelled St. Gen and put ST, Genevieve or whatever in their phone,
Right.
then they were an instant target and they were getting pop-up ads. That's what everybody, that we need to go that direction.
I think our Facebook campaign does some of that. It's not going to have enough time to do a remarketing, but it is, once someone clicks on, I'm interested in St. Genevieve, they're getting that pop-up ad, and then when they start tagging their friends on things, it's circulating to their friends, and then the friends of friends sort of thing.
Mhm.
That's how you get those ads to get out there.
Are you having many people see your Facebook posts right now and sharing them or tagging
Yeah.
people in them?
I was going to get that, all the data for Thursday for the aldermen, so I'll send you a copy on that. But yeah, the number of comments and reactions and things like that,
Yeah.
actions on this post are.
I saw one of
definitely
the
increased.
early ones, and the only comment I had seen at the time was some ignorant thing that somebody was like, you have to wear
About
masks
yeah.
outside?
There's some of that on there, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's your takeaway, okay.
But there's been quite a bit. It's certainly increased over where we were before. And then I was talking to some of the museum people this morning that organically the posts on the museum that I put up on Friday,
Sure.
I saw 10,000 reach. So
Right.
that's significantly more than things we've had in the past. So
Yeah, I shared that to the candy store stuff and had a lot of people message about it. They didn't know it was opening this soon.
and I've also tried to be, there's been a lot of comments that it's all on my phone when people are commenting on our posts. And then I can go back in at some point and say, thanks for visiting, or
Sure.
because a lot of them are, this is a nice little town, and that kind of good responses about people who have visited already. So we've got some of that. We certainly is something we should continue to look at doing. I think that's where a lot of our demographic is. And they can target those things geographically in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just a matter of taking a closer look, a deeper dive into this is great, this is where we were spending it, where do we want to spend it, how do we shift these funds? Because it's been pretty consistent year to year, for the most part, with what it's bringing in.
Right. And that's, for better or worse, to me, coming into this job, that's what I think one of the measurements has to be, is that, it's been the same amount year after year in terms of what our hotel tax brings in, and ideally, that number has to uptick somewhere along the line.
Right.
So we can build some more hotels.
Right, I was like, you
Yeah.
need to find someone to build another hotel.
Reoccupy the closed ones.
there's that too.
So any thoughts on the,
I mean, for this year, I'm fine with the, the 900 for where, that's around the corner with the,
Oh, yeah, I think we definitely should
yeah,
do the
is that what you're,
900.
is that what you're asking, Toby?
yep,
I don't know if we should increase it, but we definitely should do the 900.
and I'll make a note to get with Annette that says, here's a logo and things that we'd like to have appropriate to the amount that the sponsorship would equal with some of the other companies that she has on the back of that program, so.
Mhm.
Okay, I guess we need a motion for that, then, are you gonna?
Motion to
Just the
approve
900?
the 900 for, the NPR Christmas Festival, holiday Christmas Festival.
We have a motion on the floor, do I hear a second?
Second?
Lawrence, second. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then $900.
All right. Next item on the new business is the billboard. I have other spending options, but it's mostly billboard stuff that I have. I actually emailed all of you about an hour, 15 minutes before our meeting today. That included.
Driving
That's
here.
all right. It's just because some of the stuff was so long that I think Lamar sent me every picture of all their billboards with their,
Oh.
what the price is and how many people drive by them and all that stuff, which I summarized on this sheet here. And then there's actually 3 pages, I think, from Drury/DDI about all their billboard locations and how much they cost, how big they are, and all that kind of stuff. So just something for you guys to take a look at if you have any thoughts on whether we want to get back into billboards anywhere, any location, and kind of how much those are. Which is in St. Louis, very expensive, about $2,000 a month for a billboard compared to some places in southeast Missouri. Central Illinois had some coming down I-55 that were $400 a month, so that's about as inexpensive as I saw on billboards. And like I said, the Lamar package includes pages and pages of all the different locations, a picture of what they look like, and locations, all that kind of stuff. So all that is for your perusal whenever you want to. And like I said, if you have any feelings about billboards, or if you hear from other people who have feelings about billboards and
Yeah, do
want
we
to.
like billboards? I don't know.
It just depends on how many
Yeah.
you can buy up.
Exactly.
One's not gonna do much.
Yes, it's repetitive is,
Mhm.
yeah. Either it's nice to have a lot of, the places that have like so many billboards, you're like, that's obnoxious.
He's a
But-
very good guy.
Stoney says a lot, but at least they space theirs out. But if you're driving on I-70 to and from Columbia, that's when you get hit with the Mizzou, and it's just, they just use them one after the other to just spell one word, and it's like, just use one
Used to be
board.
walnut bowls back in the old days.
Oh, gosh.
And then someone told me they go, I guess, Wall Drug in the Dakotas.
Yeah,
Has a
yeah,
bunch of them, and
yeah.
I guess they work, but
They're not covered.
you need a lot of them.
Yeah, all the bonds.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Stoney's works well for them, because
Well, that's
you
just-
see one, and then
yeah.
10, 15 miles down the road,
Yeah.
you see another one, and then you see another one, so it just reinforces.
And it helps to have, if you've got a type of business that's an impulse business, obviously, that's gonna, I need to get off and get a McDonald's burger or something like that.
Yeah, it's one thing to
Right.
jump off and grab some,
Right.
you know,
Oh, there's a gas station.
pork sausage or something, but
McDonald's, right.
it's another thing to plan a day trip, so.
Right.
So like I said, we've got pretty much a blank slate. I'm open to ideas from you guys, from the Tourism Advisory Council, and anyone who wants to throw ideas.
Go ahead.
Have they ever done a billboard that has like a decent photo from St. John?
No.
You're laughing,
Not that I've
so,
seen.
okay. Okay, just wondering. Because I know the one that I remember, it was just colors and a bunch of words. I don't
Probably, yeah.
remember there ever being photos on them. It's not until you are in town when you see photos of town. And it's like, well, I'm already here, so.
Yeah, I don't recall. Fleur de Lis's usually on there, and
Right.
I don't know if they had the Old Duke House there at one point or not.
I don't know.
I think, well, where are we on the agenda here?
Well,
Almost
elections
there.
be next, so.
Yeah.
Billboard spending. So were you looking for anything on billboards tonight, or just
No,
giving us
no,
the
definitely
information?
not. Like I
Yeah,
said, I
okay.
just sent
He
that
emailed
information.
out
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Okay.
you guys take a look at it and give me a thought. I think in the past I sent some stuff about some different radio programs, and I would look at some of that, because I know Missouri has a program for public entities that kind of cuts the price down a little bit for radio. The Missouri Broadcasters Association, we are going to do also, we'll be printing brochures and rack cards and all sort of things fairly soon. Waiting for a really good slogan idea or something to fall into place and kind of solidify all that program. And then also, hopefully within a few weeks, we can put on their National Historical Parks
Sure.
official and not keep saying soon or soon to be established.
Oh, yeah, that was supposed to happen in
Yeah, so I
October,
thought he
right?
said by October, yeah, that's what they were shooting for.
It's October.
For soon, back to soon, I think is.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
I guess that takes us to elections.
Okay. Elections.
I mean, we've only been trying
I
to
was
do
supposed
this
to have this
since
for 1 year,
summer.
and Sandra twisted my arm for 2, so
So
I think it's time for me to move
So
on.
we can't twist your arm for
No,
3?
no.
I mean, I'm not taking it.
You've gotta have
No,
somebody.
I mean.
I've barely been here,
Because you
so.
look at this, you know all the rules.
You've gotta have somebody
I'm not doing
open for
it.
president.
My term's about to end anyway, so.
What's that?
You have to have somebody open nominations for president before you can do anything else.
All right.
Who are we missing?
D.
Deep.
Okay, so we have to open nominations for a chairman, is that right?
For president, yeah.
Chairperson.
Chairperson.
I mean, I'll open nominations,
Dee's
but
not here, so,
I'm not
yeah,
gonna be
doesn't she-
nominated.
She gets it. I'm not sure that's the way
She's
it
still
should
pretty new too. If Nicole gets to use the I'm new excuse, so does Dee. I'll enter that on her behalf.
Yep. It's down
I
to you
think, Mike,
two.
you're it.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I nominate Mike.
And then he has to accept the nomination. That's your key.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have to have a first and second.
Oh, so,
You two.
so,
We have, I don't know why.
okay.
So now I have
It's been
to,
like this for a long time.
Okay, so that was to open the nominations. Nominations are closed. Now we need a vote, is that what you're saying?
No,
You just
no,
second.
you have to have a first and a, so I guess we can use Lawrence as the first.
First,
yeah.
So Nicole,
I'll second it. If it gets me out of being that.
okay, and then, well, you have to do an open vote. So Jack, yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay, I don't have my list here. Mike, well, you have to abstain. Sorry, I'm not doing very good today. Lawrence,
Yes, definitely.
Nicole,
Yep.
and then
He's
she's absent, so 3. Yeah, 3. Okay, so then you'll have to do vice president,
Or vice chairman,
vice chairman.
chairperson. Okay.
Does it matter? Didn't you say your term is
I think so. I don't know. Is
is
that a
almost
2-year
up?
term?
Can we put someone in a term who's almost up?
Well, if you're not going off, you're gonna be here for another year.
No, I think I'm almost done. I think, Nicole, you should do it.
Well, I need a secretary too, so just FYI.
I'll do the secretary. Nicole, you do.
You're in until 2023.
Oh, there you go. Well, I nominate Lawrence as vice chairperson.
I'll do
And if you need
secretary.
a second for that one or whatever,
Okay.
then yeah. Absolutely. Nicole and Mike, that'd be long.
All right, so
2023, so next year,
So
that gives him
Nicole
another year
is
to
the
be
first.
president after that.
No,
Mike is the second.
And then Jack,
Yay.
hold on. Oh, we didn't close, okay, never mind. Okay, Jack, A, Mike,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yep.
and then Lawrence will abstain, and G. So that passes.
So then it leaves Nicole for secretary. Do you have to close that?
So Nicole for secretary.
Yeah.
Guess I'll start bringing a pen in case I have to write something down.
And then Mike, and then I need a second.
Second.
Jack,
Okay.
Mike,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Nicole, abstained, G. Okay, I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Somebody has to walk me through the when to say, do we need to vote on that?
Well, you see how I'm doing here.
That's the up council.
As long as Megan's here, it
Yeah,
goes okay.
She's got it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have any other business to come before this board?
I just want to throw out, I think that, based on conversations tonight, I think I would like to, I think maybe request, I guess, is the appropriate word for Toby and the city administrator to kind of maybe, maybe review let's take a step back, maybe undig or dig out the ordinance and take a closer look at that. I think that I would like to see, something that you mentioned was, I would like to see maybe a more
Collaborative
organized, collaborative effort, however that's going to be. So whether that is I don't know when the committee's gonna meet again, but I don't know if it's an abolishment of one, or if it's I know we can't blend the commission, make the commission bigger, but is there anything that says that we can't meet on the same days and the committee, the commission, and then have a good conversations about where the money can and should be spent, and then the commission, votes on that same night possibly.
Like a work session, right? It could be a joint work session?
Yeah, I think the issue with them is that they only want to meet quarterly, and you guys are meeting every month, so.
Right, I think we need to get on the same page.
They need to meet.
We need to get on the same page. If there's gonna be an advisory committee, then, because, as the director of tourism, I think, for the record, I think you're doing a great job out of the gate, but I think you need somebody else to say here's some direction, some more, instead of, and I don't know what that looks like, okay, is all I'm getting at, is what can we do, first of all, legally, and then second of all, what do we want it to look like and feel like, and let's lay that out and see if we can get something moving and together in the right direction.
Because if we're approving the spending, then the finalized proposals of this is how much we want to spend and whatever, that's what should be coming to us, not.
Exactly.
Can we have your money?
Exactly, and if we're a part of that, then great, let's make us a
Right.
part of that along with the conversations or a work session with the committee, instead of us talking about it and them talking about it, and
Right.
I don't mind being a part of what you're talking about, Happy. When I say we, I mean, when I say I don't mind being a part of it, I'm talking about my part as the commission. At the same time, I think we need to kind of clarify some lines.
And would we be funding just the promotion of those events or the events themselves?
If it promotes tourism, you can help. And being a sponsor is part of what tourism is about.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't want to buy T-shirts or liquor or anything like that. We would just buy ads promoting an event, correct?
If that's what you want to do. Again, if the event is promoting tourism, that's what the definition is. It's in the order of the state statute. As long as you're promoting tourism, and you believe that that event is promoting tourism, I think you can be part of the event. If you feel that you should just stay with advertising, but I don't think advertising is tourism. I don't equate one with the other. Tourism is something that goes on that brings people in, whatever that is. If it's the Valley Parade, say, and they want a sponsorship, probably not, because that's going to be located, they're not going to bring people in.
Right.
Not going to bring people in. But if it's Pecanapalooza, yeah, if we promote it and we have events and activities, and we feel that that is a tourism type of event, I think it applies. I
Are
think
there
Sure Fed is
liability
a-
issues or anything?
Do I?
Are there any liability issues then that arise since we're funding an event?
No more than any other sponsor, no more than even if you advertise for it, you're still a part of that event.
Do you have examples of events that came before the Festus committee that were turned down? Any that you can think of?
I think one was there's a football tournament that goes on, and the first time that that was brought before the board, they didn't like, I think there were some issues with that they didn't like, so they didn't allow it, or didn't help fund it. I don't know if it went on that year or not, and then the next year it came back with a better program, better read as to what they were trying to accomplish. And that was a program that was bringing kids from Pennsylvania and Tennessee and Kansas. So yeah, you could equate that was tourism. You were bringing people into those hotels.
Right.
And that, so they, at that point they said, yeah, then we feel like we can sponsor that. And we had a few incidents with groups that we did sponsor that were not the best at record keeping, and that caused some issues. And we
Sure.
had to work our way through that, but we eventually approved not what they requested, but we approved what we thought equated to tourism.
Do they require financials of how that money was spent? Then,
Yes.
obviously, and then, but not the whole event itself, just that portion of that money?
Right, right. Yeah, so if somebody wants to, if they bring a list to me of here's what we spent to promote it, and this is part of it, and they bring it in and it's for dinner at Suro's to organize, it's like, no, that doesn't apply.
Right.
That, there are certain things that you can say, no, that is not part of it. Or we had a banquet at the end of the tournament, so that we can hand out the awards. That's
Right.
not really the aspect that we want to be part of. We can be particular in that kind of stuff, but,
Sure.
yeah.
So Toby, do you think it would be appropriate to contact all the members of the advisory council, let them know kind of what was discussed tonight, state that, we're really looking towards working together more, and that might mean meeting more often, and make sure everybody on that committee is actually still willing to participate in that process?
Right.
Because if they're not, there are a lot of people who are getting
Right.
involved now.
Yeah. Right.
And we may just, if they would like to step aside and let somebody who is wanting to be involved in that process, that might be something
Yeah.
that we want to look into. Not that I don't appreciate everything they've done, but if it's going to be more collaborative, we've got to have people that have the time to come in and meet.
How many
Yeah,
people are in that group?
Is that 9?
That's 10-person counting you guys. Right.
And I'll say with the advisory council, because of our transition from Sarah to Toby and then everything in between, they weren't meeting as much. We also had the COVID issues. And I think at some point, they kind of felt that they weren't being communicated with well from my side.
you know.
Yeah, so that's caused some of this, where they malaise from them. So we just got to build it back.
Just lost some traction, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a group, but you're never going to them for anything, then sure.
I'm sure there's people, like you said, that we meet with historical attractions about every 2 weeks. Some different representatives are there. The downtown merchants are meeting at least monthly. I've been going to their meetings. So I'm getting feedback from a lot of places, and yes, I would definitely like the council to be as involved as they want to be in doing that. Because we do have some things coming up with brochures and messaging and branding that needs to be everyone on board with, ideally.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Let's do adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your time this evening.